Hey everybody, how's it going? We get to do another ECH dance party. How about that? Been a hot minute. I know somebody though who's been waiting for one of these and who is very excited about all this. There she is right there. That's right. Afra, you were ready for a dance party, yeah? Yeah. All right, here you go. We'll kick things off right, Afra. Got some pick up some Christmas cookies on discount. There you go. Kick off post game right after that awesome Kraken win. She can she can enjoy that real quick there. That was an awesome win by the Seattle Kraken over the New York Islanders. Kraken really needed that one. And they played super fantastic. For the most part, I'm gonna have some like Scrooge moments later on where I'm gonna criticize some fun stuff. But they really needed 2 points. They needed to pick up a win in one of these games in hand that they had on everybody else in the division, especially after those last 2 losses. But I mean, they got it done and they found ways to do it. We'll get into all that. Of course, want to give a shout out to our lovely sponsor, Queen Anne Beer Hall. Fantastic place to go celebrate wins in 2023. See how Kraken wins. Queen Anne Beer Hall. Go check them out. Let them know we sent you. Yeah, I guess I should also just say like Happy New Year's, everybody. Hope everybody had a fun New Year's celebration last night. Hope everybody was safe. All's good. And yeah, Seattle Kraken doing it right, kicking off the new year with a W. Um, I guess my first takeaway was just that look, like I was just happy that the Kraken played this way, that they really responded to the last game. They responded to what Hackstall was saying, and they came out there and I mean they just dominated play, at least from like a shot attempt standpoint, for a really long time in this one. Like they absolutely needed that. And so it was really good to see that. You pick up some goal, my boy Adam Larson, that side. It's mirrored for me. Adam Larson gets his point streak up to 6 games, and that's fantastic. You continue that idea of getting offense from your activated D. That's a big deal for the Seattle Kraken. Tolvanen comes in, first game in the lineup for the Seattle Kraken, shows us that amazing shot that he has, picks up a power play goal, which was nice to see the Kraken get a power play goal. And then Bjorkstrand also getting back on the board. One of those names we'd been talking about these last couple post games, needing to get going, needing to see something from Bjorkstrand. Had a really solid game and was able to get something there. So overall, I mean, everything is fantastic. Everything, I'm feeling really good about most things. Like I said, I'll maybe have a Scrooge moment or two later on. But for now, gonna head over to comment section here and see how everybody's feeling after this one. Let's see. Michael, I think the defense got the message just a little bit. Shoe shine. We really needed that game. Absolutely. So is everything fine, or did Ty stay home for this one from Kyle? I do believe Ty was at home for this one, so that could just be it. Um, let's see. I love that. Kraken Hawk, the bleeding has stopped. They need to build on this because this upcoming road trip could be the part of the season that could really set the course to make or miss the playoffs. I agree. I mean, they were all through November. You're playing like a playoff team. Guess what? You're in a playoff spot. November, you're really not playing like a playoff team. You find yourself starting to lose that playoff spot. I think that this is going to help get right the ship. I think they can probably find a way to take this and go kind of revert to the mean, regress to the mean, go up to the mean in this case, I guess. Like they're going to find some sort of middle ground between what they were doing in November, what they were doing in December, because we all know the November hockey they were playing, not really sustainable on the high end. December hockey, it is it is, I guess, just you're able to repeat that, but you don't want to. And I did think that they were better than that. So I do think that this was something that they could build off of. And we know this team has been streaky both ways. So I am hopeful that this is going to get that snowball rolling in the right direction for them. Brian, that was a fantastic full 60 effort. Absolutely. I mean, they were there. They showed up to start this game. Obviously, that's been an issue for them in the past, especially this last little bit. Not a problem tonight at all. Really, really happy about that. Michael, way more intense from the team as a whole, for sure. I mean, like, again, message received from that last one. My only question is, how long will this last, right? I brought up last time the idea of, the different factors that can motivate professional athletes, can motivate a team. I don't know that, we want this team to only be motivated by the time they hit like a rock bottom like they did in that Edmonton game. I'm hoping that this kind of Kraken team, this level of game, it's not anything super flashy. It's not anything like, oh my gosh, they're just absolutely crushing and dominating and everything's incredible, like we were seeing maybe a little bit during November. This kind of game feels sustainable to me, where it's just, hey, we're gonna do the little things right. We're gonna have a strong forecheck. We're gonna make sure we're back checking the D, really staying close to home, making sure they were able to always help out Martin Jones when he needed it. For the most part, there was a player too where they didn't, but you know what I mean? Like those are the things that's all they've needed to do to get back in the win column. And tonight they did all of those things. So I'm really, really hopeful that they can keep this rolling. Let's see. SJ, I was not watching the game, only the score. And something weird happened to the clock at the end. What was the deal there? So somehow the clock in the arena got messed up and about 5 minutes disappeared off of it. So you did have this moment where there was about 5:40 left in the game, and the clock in the on the Twins goes down to 0. The horn sounds. People are getting up and leaving. They think the game's over. Everybody was standing up and cheering, and the game was not over. There's almost 6 minutes left. I don't know what happened. I don't know where the miscommunication came in there. If just during a stoppage, the clock just never stopped. And so that's where that missing time went. And then at the very, very end, you get another one where they stop the clock. They think it's a stoppage, but really the game ended. And there was a couple seconds left on the clock, but the officials were like, no, the game's over. So then they had to just run those couple seconds off the clock there. So it wasn't the best night. We also had like a premature goal horn earlier on in the night. Obviously, whoever was in charge of that thought a puck was going in that ended up just hitting the crossbar. So slight issues at CPA tonight, but it made for this is it. You always got to stay on your toes. Always got to be paying attention, I guess. Let's see down here. Come down to the super chat. Absurdly saying thank you so much for the super chat. First super chat of the year. Like the start of the year and like the stream, folks. Absolutely love it. Absurdly saying thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Hope you had a fantastic new year yourself. Alex, hung in tough against Sorokin. Good team win. Absolutely. I mean, without Sorokin, this game could have really looked a lot different for the Seattle Kraken. There were some that he really robbed, some chances of theirs that he really robbed. But they just kept going at it. They never let it get to him. And absolutely, Alex, it's what they need to be doing more of. Emmy, so does this mean 2023 going to be a good year for this team? I sure hope so. I will take this as a good omen, as an auspicious sign. I'm really hoping for it. Let's see. So this is from Michael. So is this team good or bad? And why can't they decide? I think that's the question a lot of us are going to be asking. I know that's probably going to be a big topic of conversation tomorrow when RJ and I record the deep dive for this week, is figuring out what's going on there. But I think, when the team's going to play like this, where they're going to pay attention defensively and they're going to make sure that they're forechecking and they're making smart reads offensively, then I think the team is good. Would I say they're like, oh, they're fantastic, top of the league? No, but they're good. And they're definitely not bad. And for a lot of those losses, like that Calgary loss, wasn't even that they weren't good. It was just that they were bad. And I certainly don't think the team is bad. I just think they need to trend good, if that makes any sense. Let's see. I really wish they played this well the other night when I went to go see them get smacked by the Oilers from Kraken Hawk. Brutal. Anybody who had tickets to that Oilers game, I'm just sorry. That's all I can say. Nathan, that's Kraken hockey, baby. Absolutely. I mean, this is certainly Kraken hockey. You get goal from a defenseman activating, jumping up into the play, and Adam Larson. You get a power play goal from a new arrival, a castaway from someone else's organization that everybody's kind of unsure about. You pick him up on waivers, you bring him in, showcases a fantastic shot, gets a goal for you. And then you pick up another depth goal later on to really kind of help put it away for you before Turbo gets the empty net in Bjorkstrand's goal. One of the few things that kind of bothered me about this game was that, again, none of the goals scored tonight were scored by the top six. And it's like, still they need to get going. Even the power play goal was the second unit power play, right? Like I still want, Matty to pick up a point here at some point. I still want to get Burakovsky going. I want to get Everly going. I want to get McCann going again. So that is one of the things that still kind of bothered me about this one, was just that, hey, the top six was still a little absent. Yes. And so that, but that's also being pretty critical on my part too. If we're gonna let that kind of get to us, let me get her in frame a little bit. ECH dance party from Kepler, absolutely, you can feel it. Let's see. Fun way to hit the road from Aaron. Oh, for sure. I mean, this is exactly what you need. Talk about things that you need, like going into a new period, right? Finish off the end of a period so you can carry momentum moving forward into the next one. It's the same thing. To pick up this home win, stop that slide you're on. Now you get to, go on this road trip and feel like you have a fresh start to it a little bit. And I think that's going to be really important for them as they go on the 7-game road trip. I believe they said it was. Greg with some studs here. Studs, Martin Jones, Tolvanen, and Bjorkstrand, duds. Hextall and the clock operator at the pledge. Clock operator definitely having some issues tonight on this one. Martin Jones, interesting one in this one, because he played a fantastic game. Defense did a good job helping him out, except on the one goal from Barzal where he just kind of forgot to goalie. I don't know what was going on. He basically just like opened up his legs for that. I don't know if he was expecting a shot to go up high and he was moving for that, but the bottom line is just keep your stick down. If you're gonna try to get ready for that, got to make sure your stick is covering that 5-hole. Anytime you're opening up your legs like that, your stick should be down and covering for you there. But yes, I mean, Tolvanen 90-mile-an-hour slap shots like crazy. So, hey, early favorite maybe for hardest shot at the skills competition later this month, maybe for the Kraken skills comp. But, I thought he was impressive. He was playing a game that was very much, I got to prove myself. Like, here, I'm finally in the lineup. I got to prove myself. I'm going to go out and every shift, I'm going to go in hard on the forecheck and make a hit on somebody. But he did back check. And that was the thing that I was really looking for. You can expect to see those hits. Obviously, we know what his shot can do on something like the power play. So it was great to see the goal. But what I was really impressed with was that he was really coming back and helping out defensively. That's the kind of stuff that makes you go, okay, this guy should stick in the lineup for a long time. He should really get a look here. All right, so let me come down. Another super chat here from Brian. A power play goal. PK was perfect. Limited shots. Jones is super. Loved watching the D out front and waiting for support from forwards before going after pucks. There you go. That's like the perfect little 1-paragraph summary for this game, Brian. Thanks for the super chat as always. And I think you absolutely nail it there, right? We get the power play goal so we can kind of start building some momentum there, something that we desperately needed. You are perfect on the penalty kill. And not only are you perfect on the penalty kill, because like you could say, well, their power play is pretty bad, so that's something. But you got at least 3 kind of grade A shorthanded chances. And that was something I was really, really worried about when I saw that Geeky was the guy taken out of the lineup to make room for Tolvanen. I was like, I mean, you guys all know, right? Watching these post games, I'm always about Morgan Geeky on the penalty kill. Like he really kind of helps make that whole thing work. But they didn't miss him tonight. And Ryan Donato out there joining that penalty kill, adding in that speed. He's so good at reading, really kind of both breakaway kind of chances he had, the 2-on-1 chance and everything. It was more so built off of Islanders' mistakes than really anything the Kraken had done. But just the fact that he has that speed and he's able to read it right away. So he's got a step on the Islanders before they really know that they've messed up. He's already going. And I think that that's a big deal. And we were seeing, that. And Yanni Gourde obviously also always has that awareness. And so the two of them out there, I think was really, really good. And is something to look forward to as we move forward here. Light, happy for the win. More happy for Eli Tolvanen getting his goal and Bjorkstrand. Hope we can develop him like Sprawn and continue to add to our depth. This was the big thing with him, right? Traditionally, history would tell us Tolvanen, Sprong, Donato, these guys shouldn't work out, or maybe one of those 3 works out. You just keep taking these chances. But the Seattle Kraken, there is something special about this organization, something special about the way Dave Haxtell handles these guys, where they can come in and they find kind of an extra bit of depth to their game. Ryan Donato, he really had to learn to forecheck the way that he's forechecked for this team, and do things like play on the PK the way that he's been playing and stuff. Like, that was something he needed to adjust and work on to stay in the NHL. We were going to be his last stop, and he did it. Daniel Sprong, we were going to be his last stop. He had the fantastic wrist shot. We all knew that, but he was still on his way out of the NHL because he wasn't back checking. He wasn't playing a complete game. He wasn't really working with his centers all that well. And lo and behold, an offseason, they get him on a tryout contract. They go through camp, and he makes those adjustments. The coaching staff is able to get through to him in a way that multiple previous teams were unable to get through to him. And I think that's a big deal. And now, we might be seeing the same thing with Tolvanen. Well, only time will tell how many games, like this he can have. But if he's going to play like this regularly, then yeah, he's fantastic. Great addition. That shot, especially on the second unit power play, something the Kraken can definitely use. So I do want to take a moment, as we talk about guys like Donato, Sprong, now Tolvanen coming in, and how great that is. Yes, it's on Ron Francis and the rest of the front office, whether it's the analytic groups, the scouts, everybody, it's all on them for recognizing the talent, bringing them in. But after that, it's on this coaching staff from Dave Haxtell to get them up to this level. And so I want to make sure that we also credit them, because they, especially after like the last game, there's lots of talk about that coaching staff and about Dave Haxtell. But this is one of those things that Haxtell's doing that makes me, pause a little before I question, him after a rough loss or two, because not everybody is able to do this. Like, it's highly unusual. If you're new to hockey and your only experience is the Seattle Kraken, no, this is not a normal thing to bring in these guys and have them kind of all work out. Ty, Matty with a big 200-foot game tonight. Looks like he isn't scared to go clean things up when the defense is lacking. His positioning is great and plays were made. Speaking of big rig, bro, what happens, Lil? Yes, we were DMing back and forth a little bit during this one. Hey, back up for a second. Yeah, Matty, fantastic. I know we've been harping on him, like we need points, right? But his defensive game is incredible. This is a kid who's really always focused on it. He's wanted to be a two-way guy. You talked Ron Francis when he drafted him, talking about seeing his own, seeing himself in Matty and that. And obviously Ron Francis, one of the all-time great two-way centermen. Matty, yes, when he's not scoring, which he hasn't been, he's been making up for that by being the defensive kind of shutdown center that they've needed. I mean, there's some of these games that they lost that were close could have been a lot uglier if not for Matty Beniers back checking, playing low in the slot, helping cover net front when the defense wasn't necessarily always doing that. And so I'm always more than willing, Ty, to talk about Matty's 200-foot game. And then Big Rig just blows tires sometimes. I just don't know what goes on with him. It is interesting. Leanne, that was a fun game. Love the intensity. Now for an epic dance party with Afra for sure. Boy, is Afra in here for this. Clock operator for first star from Alex. That was a really interesting one. Shoeshine, I'm starting to worry that Matty has hit the rookie wall, though. I was a little worried about that too. Everybody goes through it. I do think that is part of this, at least offensively. He's generating chances. He had some good offensive chances tonight. Things just aren't falling for him. But I think the fact that he's playing and being as effective as he is defensively is enough for me to not really worry about it too much, because I feel like, okay, you know what? He is out there. He's still strongly contributing for this team. He's earning every minute that he plays. So while it's not necessarily great for the Calder campaign, he's still playing pretty well. But offensively, yeah, he's kind of starting to look a little snake bitten. He's still generating the chances. It's just that they're not dropping that, and can't really seem to find chemistry with anybody at the moment either, because a lot of his offensive chances tend to be solo work or him picking up a rebound, trying to put that home, which is all good stuff. But he needs to figure that out with they need to find some line mates for him. Let's see. Kraken undefeated in 2023. That is right, Edward. Daniel, do you think they'll use Tolvanen as a guy to give guys nights off as the schedule gets tight? I think especially since they won and he got a goal, Tolvanen's just going to be in for a little while. moving forward, that's generally what you'd always do with these kind of extra forwards is if you have anybody who's kind of questionable in your lineup or guys that you feel like are, they're all about the same level, then yeah, what you do is you just slowly go through a rotation as the team ebbs and flows, right? Okay, we played bad tonight. Let's shake it up by, pulling this guy out, sticking someone else in, and it kind of helps. As far as like, do I ever think that they'll use Tolvanen to give Matty a night off or give Eberle a night off, Burakovsky? No, he's never going to replace a top 6 guy in this lineup. Those guys are always going to be locked in. And, it's something that I think could be coming to hockey. The idea of rotating guys or sitting guys for health or rest reasons, just because of what a slog the regular season can be. But I don't think we're there yet. And I don't think the Kraken are in a position to do that either. So I think Tolvanen, Donato, and Geeky probably are the 3 guys that are all going to rotate in and out of the lineup as the team goes on win and losing streaks. We're going to see them all shuffle around. Let's see. So good to see him doing his thing on the power play from Kepler there for sure. I mean, that one-timer is like chef's kiss. That thing was fantastic, and the speed, and really it was the location, because Sorokin, really good goaltender, he actually gets across for the most part, but Tolvanen did a good job of placing that high corner. I mean, that was the one place Sorokin was never going to be able to cover in that situation, and that's exactly where Tolvanen put it. So good on him for that. Let's see, like the stream in greats, sheesh, from Hockey Fort. Thanks. I appreciate the sentiment, and I also appreciate how you're going about asking for it too. I like that. Striatic, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank the Kraken defense tonight? I'd rank them, well, being biased based on how they had been playing, kind of grading on that curve, I'd say 8 out of 10. I really do. I think they played really, really well tonight. The one guy who kind of was giving me fits as I was watching, the one guy who was drifting away from really kind of hanging in tight towards the crease, was actually Justin Schultz. There was some moments where the Islanders were able to get some action there or get somebody who could bang in on a rebound, and generally it was Justin Schultz kind of drifting away. So that was a little frustrating. But otherwise, I mean, they didn't take any penalties tonight. They hung close. They didn't really give that many rebound opportunities. They weren't allowing passes to guys that were just net front that give the goaltender 0 shot, which was really the problem for them these last couple of games. So credit to the defense for kind of waking up for this one and showing that they can play this way. But now here's the thing, right? You're going to play this way tonight. Now you got to continue to play this way, because if you go back to the way you were playing, it makes it that much worse, because we can all point to games like tonight and say, well, you were able to do it there. Why aren't you playing like this now? Right. And that's kind of where I was starting to feel during this last slide that the team had defensively was, we're all playing well before. Why aren't you now? That means that's kind of on you. You know what I mean? So it's on them. It's on the coaching staff to try to keep that level of intensity, that level of commitment and buy-in as well. But, yeah, I thought the Kraken defense played really, really well tonight. I really did. Grizzlies Smash first win this year for sure. I love it. Bazzi, new PK formation looked good versus poor power play. Agreed. Defending the blue paint was nice, and a power play goal. So they did change up the PK formation a little bit, go to a more traditional box instead of the kind of the wedge +1, triangle +1 look that we were getting before. I do think, like I said, the shorthanded opportunities, those really came because the Islanders had miscommunications, or guys weren't where they were supposed to be. And let's be real, this Islanders power play was as bad as the Kraken, right? 1 for their last 28. So they got helped out there, but I will say that they were put in positions to make those, because all of those situations come off of bad passes out to the point, because there was nothing going on inside. That tight box was really shutting down the slot area. It was shutting down net front. It wasn't allowing the Islanders to make passes down low or through the center of the ice. And that's what the PK needed to do. And then, because it's not a great power play, because they were a little sloppy with it, you're able to generate these shorthanded chances, not because you were aggressive in your triangle +1 formation, but just because they're having to make long stretch passes out or trying to use the boards in a road building, right? And they just weren't set up for that, because no power play wants to continually be passing back out to the perimeter. And so just by having to force them to pass out to the perimeter, you were putting them in a situation, much like we've seen with our own power play, where you can make mistakes. And the Kraken, like I said, Ryan Donato always there to try to capitalize on those mistakes. So really appreciated that one there for sure. Got this road trip coming up. East trip is gonna be brutal from Joey. It's not gonna be easy. That is for sure. It's gonna be rough. But I think this is what they needed right beforehand. Did Tolvanen get to play on the first unit power play? No, he was on the second unit, playing the same spot over on that one side that Matty plays on the first unit. But I mean, he was fantastic. And to be honest, I mean, he did what they've been trying to get Matty to do, and Matty just doesn't have a 92-mile-an-hour slap shot. He just doesn't. Fantastic player. Very few people on the face of this earth have a 92-mile-an-hour one-timer. So I could see if this becomes a regular thing, I could see them potentially finding a different role for Matty on the first unit. I think they'd keep him on the first unit, but I think they'd maybe slide him over into a different role and then bump up Tolvanen into that one. I could see something like that. Ty, notice Tolvi in the defensive end as well, not just blasting goals. We like 200-foot games. Yes, absolutely. And like I said, that was the big thing I was going to be looking for. And I saw it, and that makes me really happy. That makes me feel like this could be sustainable, and we might have, done it for the third time, found one of these guys off waivers and making it happen. Let's see. Tolvanen killer shot and only 23 years old. What happens when Wright returns from Rock Todd? Well, the Kraken do have an open roster spot waiting for Wright, or at least we're assuming it's waiting for Wright. We do know there's rumblings from the World Juniors of Ron Francis is going to be meeting with people to help determine what they're going to do with Shane Wright. We know that Kingston has, I believe it's 8 trade offers on the table right now and packages for a Shane Wright trade if he is returned to the OHL. So we're going to know when Team Canada gets eliminated. We're going to really kind of see what's going on there, because that open roster spot, it could be for Shane Wright, could also be them waiting for Chris Drieger or Donskoy, somebody to come back from IR. So I don't know what's going to happen if Wright comes back to Seattle. There's an open roster spot for him now. I think he would be worked into the lineup. I don't see him coming back to Seattle, given everything else going on, and them, Ron Francis meeting with people there and everything. If he's coming back to Seattle, he will be in the lineup, and you'll probably see a Donato bumped to make room for him. Otherwise, he's going back to the OHL. That's what I'm at. Let's see. Jones, 1.3 goals saved above expected tonight. He did. He played a fantastic game. He stopped all the shots that he needed to stop. The defense, to their credit, they helped him out. They put him in position to succeed. He never really had to make a tough save. And with the exception of the one goal against where he just kind of made a mistake, it was a really, really solid game from Martin Jones in this one. RJ's loading in. Just going to real quick read this one. Chris, leaving CPA. We'll catch the stream on replay. Nice to see forecheck and out Islandering the Islanders. Tolvi looking like he's ready to stay. Keep it up. Cheers all. Thanks. Congratulations. Thank you, Chris, for that one, and safe journey home. All right, so bring RJ in here. Get the other overlay going. There we go. So RJ, obviously, kick off the new year the right way, get 2 points, play really well. But I mean, it's all the little things. It's all the stuff that we knew the Kraken needed to do, and they found a way to do it all tonight.
Yeah, they did. It was a solid 60-minute effort, and I mean, this is what we were looking for after a few really bad efforts, and we knew that the Kraken were at some point going to have a moment where the message was received and they all kind of played the right way. And I'm glad it happened at home before heading out on this road trip. I think it's really important they got this done now instead of having to try and find their game on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this helps. You can potentially try to build positive momentum off of this one, but really what it does is it means that when you go on this road trip and you kind of have that soft reset, you're not feeling like, wow, we really need to soft reset because everything leading up to this was bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Joey has an interesting one here. I don't know that we'll really talk about it now, but I took a picture on my phone, Joey. There should be leaders on this team where after losing 8 out of 10 before tonight, where players make one another, they hold one another accountable, and it shouldn't take the coach to call a team out, in my opinion. So we don't necessarily have to talk too much about that one tonight. We can keep the good positive vibes going. But I took a picture of that, Joey, because we are recording the deep dive tomorrow, and I think that's something we'll probably touch on.
Yes.
Starting to feel like you maybe look to send Shane down. Who are you going to take out? I don't want Shane to blow the rookie designation for next season. So we were just talking about this, RJ, all the stuff going on with Shane Wright. Is he going to come back? Is he going to go to the OHL? We'll find out pretty soon here when the World Juniors is up. But now with the addition of Tolvanen and the way that he played tonight, not just the power play goal, RJ, but the forechecking and the back checking, that was the thing that really impressed me. I mean, you just have too many options again.
I know this team just has so much forward depth. I mean, who do you take out of the lineup? Tonight it was Morgan Geekie, who had 4 points in his last 4 games and was playing really solid defensively. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but I just don't know where Shane Wright fits into this. And it's through no fault of his own. It's just the forward depth is incredible.
Yeah, I guess the one place you could say you could fit in is just at center because you kind of only 3 tonight, maybe.
Right. But you look at Ryan Donato's game, and especially on the penalty kill, filling in for Geekie, and it was everything you could want. I don't know whether he can replicate that over a long stretch, but I thought he was excellent there, especially on the PK, and that's something I made sure to ask about because as Scott Malone from Root Sports pointed out, Donato had played about 1.5 minutes of PK time over his whole Kraken career before tonight, maybe about 8 minutes in his entire NHL career. And he had about 2 minutes there tonight and looked really good. He was part of 2 really good scoring chances. So I asked him about that and he said, well, I've been able to kind of kill penalties my whole career, but it felt really good to be able to go out and do that, at that level and be in that spot and be able to be aggressive. And that's something that we haven't really seen, from, let's say, Morgan Geekie. Morgan Geekie isn't being that aggressive around the puck and trying to create shorthanded chances. And, nothing wrong with his game, but just a different style there.
Right. I was going to say Morgan Geekie really fit when they were trying to do the wedge, right? The triangle +1. Yep. Like Morgan Geekie fits that style. Now that you're going a little more conservative, go back to a more traditional box. Maybe Morgan Geekie just doesn't fit in that anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. But yes, Ryan Donato having that speed and having that awareness to capitalize on those Islander mistakes where they just kind of turn the puck over themselves really, really helped out. Alex, I'm so glad we're back to this. Alex letting us know that the Kraken hit 41 points March 12th last season. So
love it.
Happy there. Personally,
2 months ahead of schedule.
Yep, exactly. Let's see. Personally, I like Geekie better at center compared to Donato. Tolvanen looked good, but feels wrong to scratch any of the bottom 6 from Bazzi. I know, really the Kraken, they do well again tonight. You get a power play goal, but it's from the second unit. You get another goal from a defenseman. Like, that's awesome. But then otherwise, it's still just depth scoring. Like, the top 6 still needs to get going here.
Yeah, definitely. And that's been a big part of the team's struggles. I mean, usually it's the other way around where the top 6 is kind of firing for a team, but their depth scoring isn't helping at all. This has been the reverse, and it's, been kind of a prolonged thing that I can't really remember having seen on a team that I followed closely, where this has happened. But it just shows that I think the top 6 forwards have a better chance of rebounding and going back to scoring the way that they were than maybe on a team where the depth just isn't there. And you're relying on 4th liners who were never scoring to step up and score. So I think it's a good sign for the long term. But yeah, the top 6 needs to get in here.
Yeah, and I almost feel like a large part of that is just I'm not seeing a lot of chemistry between Matty Beniers and anybody. And that's something that kind of needs to get figured out. Matt, I like this one. Kraken are undefeated and have never trailed in 2023. That's right.
Perfect.
Great place to be, let me tell you. Let's see. Daniel, has the league ever thought about eliminating empty net icing like they do on power plays? Maybe they've thought about it, but I think it would kind of defeat the purpose of trying to have teams go with the empty net and keep games close. See, have your team always kind of have a chance at it, because if teams can just willy-nilly just do deep clears, you kind of make the end of a game pretty boring.
Yeah, it's kind of an anti-parity move. I don't think we'd ever really see it.
Yeah. Let's see. Tom, GF and I are all time at CPA coming into tonight. Thank you, Kraken, for making it the best anniversary yet. Awesome. I'm so happy for you both. You were able to get this win. I gotta imagine you probably weren't the only couple in that situation, but glad you got to get your first win tonight. Let's see. I wish empty net icing would be eliminated. Kind of not fair. It's like a power play. It's from Joey. Let's see. I was not shocked about Tolvanen scoring. Got a good shot from Grizza Smash there. I mean, RJ, you've been seeing him in practice. We knew about the shot coming into it, but maybe, were you expecting the kind of level of physicality that he brought, or the back checking?
No, I really wasn't, not that I was expecting him not to do that and just kind of be a one-dimensional player. I don't think he's like that, but the shot didn't surprise me at all. I've seen it, but I was really impressed by his 200-foot game and the way that I think having all this time off before playing, having a few, like a week or two to kind of get into things and really learn the systems and understand that this is how Dave Haxtell wants you to play. You can't just be a one-dimensional player. Daniel Sprong learned this lesson last season, and he's carried it forward into this year. And I think he really has taken it to heart, and it showed in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, it's crazy to me that the Kraken, could potentially go 3 for 3 in situations like this, bringing in somebody who otherwise, is kind of on the outs and kind of turning them around. Carol's Dark Sarcasm. We left halfway through the third and went to Dick's. There were a lot of Kraken sweaters there. Well, first thing, okay, why not try Queen Anne Beer Hall? Right? Like, come on. Queen Anne Beer Hall. Excellent place to go watch the game if you're going to leave a little early there. The other thing is, RJ, I got to imagine a lot of people left maybe halfway through the third there, or towards the end of the third, just because of whatever was going on with the clocks there at CPA.
Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like it. From what I heard, the clock went from 7 minutes down to 1 minute immediately, but I had my head down, looking up the stat or whatever, and then I see there's like 20 seconds left, and I'm just starting to scramble to get the post-game graphic ready. I was just like, how did I tune out for this long? And then the buzzer goes down to 0. I'm like, this can't be right. I'm like, the Islanders didn't pull their goalie. What's going on here? And then the announcement over the PA, the game is not over. And I'm just like, oh, good. Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like that. I don't know what exactly caused it. It was a weird night for that, though. You had the premature goal horn earlier in the game. You had that, and I don't know if the broadcast showed it, but at the end, yes, yeah. The horn didn't go. It showed about 2 seconds left on the clock as the Kraken were celebrating. So just a weird night all around for that.
Yeah, it was an interesting one for sure. Nobody had ever experienced anything like that on the broadcast.
And then when the clock ran out the first time, when there was actually about 5 minutes left, fans got up and started leaving.
Yeah,
they thought the game was over.
You could hear it. A bunch of fans in the arena, like getting up, cheering, like, "Hey, the game's almost over here."
A big cheer started coming up. I'm like, why are they doing this? And then I looked at the clock.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting situation. All I could think is that there was a stoppage that they didn't stop the clock for. It like ran through a TV timeout or something. Like otherwise,
maybe
I just don't know how that happens. Emery's super early on, but I was wondering this when we claimed Tolvanen. Is Sprong potential trade deadline bait and Tolvanen his replacement on this Kraken roster? I hope not, because I'd love to have both of them in the lineup if they're both going to be scoring like this.
Yeah, and for any kind of a playoff run, you need forward depth like that. You don't want to make that move. And honestly, I think as great as Daniel Sprong has been, I think most teams are thinking he's probably more valuable on the Kraken than he is to them. You just don't know if it's going to click with somebody else. He's such a perfect fit for what the Kraken are doing in their bottom six. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Agreed. Sprong and Tolvanen, the laser show from Alex. Absolutely.
Can you imagine a power play with them on either side? Because Sprong's right-handed, Tolvanen's left-handed. If you just have those as your one-timer options.
Well, here, how about this? What if you do that? You stick Matty in the middle in the bumper roll. You get Sprong on one side, Tolvanen on the other, Justin Schultz back. Maybe Schwartzy up front, or Eberle up front. That's actually probably what I would do, kind of net side Eberle.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fantastic looking power play. Personally, Gregory with the lemon lime Gatorade time, baby. Oh, yes. I forgot any sort of drink with me tonight. I just have Afra cookies. Let's see. I always feel better about Sprong being on the ice. I knew after the first game he would be an excellent pickup for depth from Grizza Smash there. Edward Bizarro Dylan being negative after a win. Lol. It was just for like half a second. I just had 2 moments of putting on a Scrooge hat, just a little bit. But yeah, it was still a really good game. Glad to be back doing these dance parties, RJ. How often do you see Bjorky has an open net rebound and can elevate the puck, comes back several minutes later in almost the same situation and corrects it for a score? Yeah, I mean, he kind of elevated it up the first go around. Sorokin just got the pad up there. It was fantastic. But
that was an amazing save. Couldn't believe that one. And on a total defensive breakdown for the Islanders, too, leaving two Kraken wide open in front of the net. Getting nice to be on the right side of that, even if they weren't able to convert. But good to see Bjorkstrand get one. And he was clearly so happy after that goal, too. You could see in the celebration, the guy who's been snake bitten most of the year, able to get one.
Yeah, and then I got a question for you, RJ. Kind of just what was Dave Haxtell's messaging after this one? Because obviously lots of stuff went on after the last one. We know that. But like what was it? Was he smiling? Was he happy? Was he cracking jokes? Or is he just like, yeah, this is kind of how we should be playing?
Yeah, not fully there to the smiling, happy, cracking jokes. But he said it wasn't, a perfect effort, but it was a solid effort. He called it a solid effort. So he's kind of in the middle there as far as what they did. Obviously, they cleaned up a lot of things in this game, and he was willing to acknowledge that. Certainly over the last game, he said there's still work to do. There's little things to tune up, but it was a much better effort, and I think solid was the word he used the most.
Yeah, and I could see that. And earlier, Stratic had asked, and I gave my answer. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the Kraken defense tonight?
The Kraken defense tonight, I don't know. I'd say I can't really think of any major breakdowns. I go with a 9.
Okay, all right. I graded on a curve, and I gave him an 8.
Okay,
just based on the last couple of games, there was a little bit Schultzy kind of drifting at times. The one time I really remember somebody getting in on Jones, it was because of something like that. But for the most part, they played really, really well. It's just, that kind of tightening of that, it does take away then the ability to maybe break out at times too. Like the trade-off was there.
Yeah. And I think also, if I am going to grade on a curve a little bit, I don't think the Islanders did a whole lot to test them. The Isles looked pretty bad in this one, not to take anything away from the Kraken, but I think that was a factor. And then also defensively, though, one thing I liked, and I think it earns them points, is, and Jamie Alexiak was the main guy for this. There were a few times where Islanders players tried to go to the front of the Kraken net, and they ended up on their backside. And that is something we have needed to see more of from the Kraken. And Alexiak did that a couple times that I can remember. There was another instance where I believe it was Carson Soucy doing that. But it was just refreshing to see that.
Yeah, and then hopefully we don't get too many incidences like with Yanni putting Vince Dunn down on his backside.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a rough one with the stick coming up.
Yep. Super chat here from Duthan. Shout out for the Kraken's undefeated in 2023. Also a great welcome to Ellie Tolvanen and just a solid all-around game. Absolutely, Duthan. Thank you so much for the super chat there.
Yes, thank you, Duthan.
Let's see. There was one up here. I'm trying to find it now, but the idea was I just wanted to see who it was. Daniel, can we have this officiating crew every night? Don't think there were any penalties in the second or third period. Well, there had to be one in the second period because that's when we got our power play goal, but it was early on in the second period. But I did think that, to both teams' credits, they just played clean games.
Yeah, they did play a clean game. They made it kind of easy on the officials, but the officials did their part. They didn't force any calls that weren't necessary. This was one of those games where you just don't even think about the refs at all, and that's what you want every game, ideally.
Yep, it's the way it should be. Kepler asking, what do you think about the line shakeups and what do you want/think we'll see going forward? So that was obviously something else that was kind of a big deal coming into this one. What did you think, RJ?
Well, first of all, I thought it was very interesting, the line shakeups, and I tweeted this before the game that between the four lines, all four of them, there were less than 19 minutes of time together in that combination, and almost all of it belonged to the first line, the Matty Beniers line. I think on the Beniers line, putting Burakovsky there, we talked about with Eberle and McCann how that's three very skilled players, but there's nobody who really goes to the net, and that's kind of what was missing from that line. And I don't think that putting Burakovsky there solves that problem. So I think that still kind of existed. I mean, the fourth line is just great in any configuration that there has been. Ideally, you don't want Donato centering it every game, but I thought he did fine in spot duty. They did. They did get kind of low in the offensive zone, and where maybe a different team might catch them in transition. Thankfully, it's the Islanders they were playing against. Trying to think what I noticed from the Wenberg line. It wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a lot.
And then with Tolvanen and Gordon Bjorkstrand, I mean, I liked it. I thought the chemistry there worked.
Yes, no, I agree with that. I did feel like a little bit of Geeky's presence was missing on the fourth line, in the sense that, when the fourth line was out there, it always felt like we were always in the offensive zone, and in this one, it didn't have that same level. And then I did notice also, hey, playing into my thing, Kraken only 35% on the faceoff dot tonight, so they really went heavy after it. But when I went down to look, I don't know, based on what I'm looking at now, how many faceoffs everybody had, but Ryan Donato was 0 on the faceoff percentage tonight, and Matty Beniers 16%. So still rough.
I know. I looked in second intermission. I know Beniers was pretty rough, his numbers. And I think JG Pajot was like perfect for maybe half the game for the Islanders. He was just eating it up in the faceoff dot.
He started 11 for 11 for this game, finished 83%, and Matt Barzal 100%. I don't know. Again, I don't know how many that was, but like still, it had to be more than one if I had to guess. So there's something there. CR Bud here with the super chat. I was saying earlier, Kraken D doesn't have to be a 10, but they cannot be a 5 like they have been, or even in some of those games lower than that. Probably.
Yeah, I'd go lower than that these last few games.
Yes, but for sure, CR Bud, that is absolutely true. Given the depth at forward that we've been talking about really all night, the D doesn't have to be perfect every night. They just have to be serviceable. They got to give goaltenders a shot to make a save, right? To be the last line of defense. The D has almost been just taking the goaltenders out of the equation with some of the chances that they've been giving up. So good to see that not be the case here tonight. Let's see. Yeah, there's some talk earlier, RJ, about the idea of Matty maybe hitting a rookie wall. Grizz Smash chiming in here. Sometimes it's also his line mates with Matty. If he's hitting a wall, if they're hitting walls, it's going to affect him. I agree with that sentiment. I mean, do you have an idea about that, or a feel?
I think part of that's the line mates. I mean, because it's not just him. You look at other guys like, Jared McCann, and, aside from a few plays, Jordan Eberle, they've kind of gone dry a little bit too. And yeah, you want Matty Beniers to do his part on there, but given who his line mates are, you kind of want some support there as well. I think maybe there's a bit of a rookie wall, but he's not playing terrible. He's still doing a lot of the right things. He's just not dazzling in the way that he was in November.
Yeah, we talked about he's got that 200-foot game. Defensively, he's so solid. So it's not totally a wall, but yeah, the points for Calder. Come on, we need the points.
I know.
From Ex Gilberto, are you as surprised that it took them this long to throw Tolvanen into the lineup since he was picked up? Well, for a while they were playing okay, so it made sense. But yeah, I mean, it did. They let themselves get on a little bit of a skid there before they really gave him a look.
Well, the issue was the problem wasn't the fourth line. The problem wasn't anyone you could realistically take out of the lineup. So, that's what it was.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy for them. Greg, if Drieger is able to come back and show he's healthy, do you think they'll make Jones available in a trade? I know teams will get desperate for goalie help heading into the deadline, maybe like a 4th rounder or something.
I don't think so. I mean, you look at Martin Jones, and I think he's got, 15 of the team's 19 wins this season.
This would be 16 tonight.
No, it was 14 before tonight, okay. I believe. So, or maybe I'm wrong, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
He's got a large majority of the team's wins this season, and I just don't think that you can let a guy like that go in favor of someone who is just completely cold. And I know that the question was the premise was, if he shows that he can still play and everything. But I think we're a long way till that point. First he's got to return to practice and then back to playing. And at that point, you're so far into your season, you've got to go with the people who got you there.
Yeah. Let's see. Bjorkstrand's goal was fantastic. He wins the battle in the corner, gets the puck to the paint, circles over it, buries the rebound. 100% effort and cerebral from Brian. That is the stuff that I was so excited for when we picked him up in the offseason in that awesome trade that Ron Francis was able to pull off, because that is very much his game. He likes to play in the slot, and that's what I was just so happy for that, because that was a big point of contention for me last year with the Kraken, was nobody was ever going to the slot. It's the highest percentage chance place on the ice to score, and just nobody was ever willing to work there. Certainly the wingers weren't willing to kind of cross the ice there, but that's where, he's got a dad who's a coach. He's grown up around that kind of stuff. So having him come in and be a cerebral player, it was key to his success in Columbus, and I'm glad to see it finally kind of starting to pay off for him here. Yeah,
you can tell it's starting to pick up a little bit more. I think we're going to start to see that regular scoring coming back.
Yes, let's see. Aaron asking, what would everyone be happy with on this next road trip? 8 to 10 points, and I'd be ecstatic. So what is it? Is it a 7-game road trip? I think it is, RJ.
I believe it's 7 games.
Yeah. So 8 to 10 points. I mean, that's you're playing what, 600, 700 points percentage hockey there.
Yeah, I think you take that for sure. 8 to 10 points. I think that's reasonable. You're playing against a lot of Eastern Conference teams, and the Eastern Conference is better than the Western Conference right now. It's going to be some tougher matchups. And if you can stay around that 500 mark, a little bit above that 500 mark, you got to be happy with it.
Yes, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, and keep in mind the last game of that road trip, we're doing a watch party over at Queen Anne Beer Hall. That Chicago game on the 14th. So everybody make sure we can end the road trip in good fashion. We'll do the post game live from there, and then post game live after the first home game back against the Lightning on the 16th. Also live at Queen Anne Beer Hall. So just gonna plug those one more time. Let's see. Ty, I really don't consider Bjorkstrand bottom 6 though. I know I'm talking about that, but like it is tough. He's in the bottom 6 role now just because he wasn't scoring, but it just goes to show just that abundance of wealth the Kraken have at forward that you can get by having him in your bottom 6.
Yep.
Let's see. Brian, won't lead many headlines, but Donato is a glue guy holding things together. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah.
Let's see. SJ, if the bottom 6 is all playing well and the top 6 isn't productive, why not just scratch a top 6 player? Could really wake someone like Burakovsky up, no? I mean, it's possible. We've seen teams do it before in the past. I don't know. Do you think Hackstall would try something like that?
I don't think he would, and I kind of chalk that up to just his style as a coach. I think he basically won't do anything like that that's a big move or something that's going to create drama unless it's a very last resort. And I don't see it coming from him. It's the kind of thing other coaches I think would do, but I wouldn't expect it from him. I mean, this is something interesting too that I noticed, because the Kraken have had three-game losing streaks this season. It was tied for their long, but they've kind of stopped it there every time. And I think when they get on a losing streak like that, fans and us in the media have kind of started to ring the alarm bells of like, okay, how bad is this going to get? We were certainly feeling that way after the Edmonton game. And I asked Dave Hackstall, I brought up that stat and I just said, what's different about this year versus last year that has, stopped it from snowballing into something worse? Because, last year you were talking 7-8 game losing streak that was bad. And he said a lot is different, from this year to last year. But he said, I guess just the mentality and the belief that it's never going to, that it's not too bad, basically, that like we belong here, is what he said. The belief that we belong in this part of the standings, that we are actually this good. And I think last season that didn't really exist, and you kind of get in that mindset of, we're not a good hockey team, but this year at least they have the talent, they have the players, that they kind of believe in themselves a little bit more to know that they can do it.
Oh, I love to hear that. Really, really, I do. That's good stuff. And I will say, with the idea of like maybe scratching a top 6 player, traditionally Hackstall has done a good job of essentially like the top 6 not doing anything. The bottom 6 is. Well, the bottom 6 is going to get as much, if not more, ice time in a game, right? He's going to just play the hot hand and use the ice time to kind of try to send those wake-up calls rather than an outright scratch. We'll point out, though, tonight, very traditional ice time spread for the Kraken tonight, RJ. Kind of interesting. Ryan Donato actually pulling up the rear at 8.5 minutes.
Interesting there. And Hackstall did mention, because I was talking about the PK and Donato, and he's like, well, he didn't get a whole lot of ice time in general. And I guess he was right. I hadn't checked the numbers on that. But yeah, I mean, I guess, as fourth line center and a guy who's not naturally a center, maybe that is the case. But man, I mean, he continues to produce in that little ice time.
He makes the most of it. That is for sure. Let's see. We got someone in here. What? I didn't know the Kraken had fans. Definitely have fans. And by the way, our fans really supportive, really awesome. And that's why the Seattle Kraken are 6th, I believe, in league revenue. So, all these traditional hockey markets maybe wanting to make fun of us out here on the West Coast. We're helping the NHL out maybe more than your team is. So just
yeah, most likely.
Most likely, odds would say. Let's see. Ty, you have to consider who the top 6 are matching up against too. It's a whole different ball game, fourth line versus an even second line. Yeah, I agree with that. That is part of it as well. Let's see. Creative Moxie. I just keep remembering how miserable this stretch of the season was last year. Remember that long losing streak? So glad they're better this year. Yeah, you were just talking about it.
All broken up by that COVID break. It was terrible.
Those were brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, we could just go like a month without seeing a point in the standings. It was awful. Let's see. Grizzly Smash. To be fair, Tolvanen was drafted and played in Nashville. Being physical is their style. Probably a holdover from the Preds. Agree. That is probably part of it. I kick things off talking about him, RJ. You know, anytime somebody gets a shot at that lineup, they want to show the coaching staff like, hey, yeah, I'm doing the thing. And that's why like the forechecking and the hits he was making early in the game, I was like, all right, that's expected. For me, it was the defense that he was playing. He got back. He was helping out the defense when they couldn't be there. You know what I mean? And that was really what impressed me with him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of that Yanni Gord rubbed off on him, I think.
Yeah, Terry, just jumping in. Kraken are exciting. Yes, they are. Kraken could be a very exciting team this year. I had some minor hiccups here lately, but Kraken are a fantastic team, and hope
they even counteracted the Islanders' boringness tonight.
They really did. That is saying something. That is really saying something. Let's see. Yes, bring me the United Nations power play units from Alex.
Yes, let's go.
Absolutely, let's do it. Let's see. Shoeshine, I mean, if Sprung gets us an offer like the Barkley Goodrow trade, I say we take it regardless of how much we love him. That would be, I'd have to pause and think about that. Yeah.
If Tampa comes calling with 2 first-round picks, or, you know, with a first-round pick, then maybe you take that. But otherwise, you keep him.
Yep. Terry also covered in here. Hey guys, you finally got your Vegas victory. Knights goaltending hit a wall. It's at least going down. Yeah, I haven't paid too much attention to what the Gold Knights have been doing. Trying to focus on the Kraken, but yeah, I mean, getting that win was just so big for us. It really was.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. On faceoffs, Donato was 0 for 2. Beniers was 3 for 16. Or 3 wins, 16 losses. Brian correcting there. Yeah, that was absolutely brutal. But thank you for giving me that stat there, Brian. All the wingers took a face-off. We're 100% though. Bazzi pointing out.
Perfect.
Something. Let's just have wingers do it. Like let's really shake things up, change the game of hockey. I'm sure that'll go over well with everybody on the East Coast.
They can't handle it.
They just can't. The record is way better when they lose the face-off battle. You could be onto something. I've been saying this all year. This is the hill I will die on with this team. Let's see. Came down with food poisoning today. I'm sorry to hear that. It was great to watch a Kraken dub, even though I spent first line minutes of it in the bathroom. Sorry, Kepler. That is brutal. Let's see. Donato made a great play on that first goal, and so did Sprong. They're so consistent lately from Striatic. I mean, that is so much of it. Like those guys play so well together. They just play well in general. Like we brought up Donato on the PK. It's really special what the Kraken have been able to do there. And I was saying it earlier, RJ. Part of the credit for that, yes, it's the front office for recognizing something and bringing them in. A lot of that's also on the coaching staff, getting them to buy in and play that way too.
It's true. And one more thing I want to add that I thought was interesting on the decision for Donato on the PK, because again, he's killed maybe 8 minutes of penalties in his entire NHL career. Dave Haxtell mentioned that was a Dave Lowry thing. That Dave Lowry was working on that and integrating him into the PK, and they've kind of been doing that over the last month or so in practices. And I've been kind of more focused on looking at the power play and where the alignment is there, so I hadn't really fully noticed it. But that they've kind of been integrating him in there, and that's been like a Dave Lowry project, and they decided to finally go ahead with it. And I just think that's awesome. And Dave Lowry being a big part of the coaching staff and making a difference.
Yeah. No, that is a big deal there. And then might finish it off here with also from Striatic. The higher line guys, Hack might in Bizarro Universe consider scratching are more like right wings or center line. Let's see, Wenberg and Tolvanen wouldn't replace them anyway. Somebody like Wenberg. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's part of it is that they have a lot of this depth out on the wing, which complicates things a little bit more. Because we saw tonight, Donato can flex in and play center, but it's maybe not a solution for anything long term.
Right.
All right. So I think we should finish this off the way we kicked it off, which was bring in Afra in here, and she can finish off the bottom half of this snowman cookie. And we got
Yes.
the other day.
Oh.
There you go, Afra. You can go munch
And
on
she's
that
gone
and
with it.
enjoy it. What manners she has to turn around and munch on it too. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on this one. Another dance party. So happy to be back to these. Felt like it had been a while because of that little Christmas break that the NHL had, but I'm super pumped to watch Kraken hockey again. Get going on this road trip. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun, watching it from home like everyone else. And of course, we'll join you for the post game lives after all of them. And then that last one at Queen Anne Beer Hall is going to be so fun. That Chicago game. Get to come over, meet me and Dylan.
Yes.
Dylan will be up here. I'm excited. I
finally.
hope all of you are excited. But it's such a treat for me. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to the road trip. And let's bring it on.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fantastic. And hey, if you want to go get the lay of the land, go early, check out Queen Anne Beer Hall, go for it. You can watch any of these road games at Queen Anne Beer Hall. It doesn't have to just be that one at the end.
Yep, Kraken game is always on the TVs there when it's on. Yep. Don't have to worry about that.
Just throwing that one out there. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for this ECH postgame live. We will see you all next time. Oh, and check out the deep dive tomorrow. It should be good.